Again, as Frank's been saying, the power is probably the main concern because you depend on that power to keep your life support systems going, you know, the whole operation of the station. So that's going to be one of your biggest problems, is dealing with the power loss. And you know, the ability to work around it is just something you have to look at very carefully and see if it's feasible to do some workarounds. One of the points that I think we're sort of missing is the solar panels in Spectre are attached to batteries inside Spectre, and so right now those batteries are under conditions of vacuum, and so it's unusable. So it's a complicated situation, and it's going to take a lot of work to recover.
And for Frank to kind of follow up on that a bit, the depressurization of the module, even if you were able to repressurize somehow, or perhaps get in there in an EVA suit and retrieve some of the gear, is it likely that any electronic gear and other experimental equipment is going to be destroyed in the vacuum or damaged in some way?
Well, actually, some equipment is certified to survive a depressurization to vacuum and then operate just fine. So some of it will probably be okay, but I've asked the research community to look at what they've got in the Spectre and what the impact might be of going to vacuum, and whether any of it could be recovered or should be if we were to be able to repressurize it.
What sort of food and water and other consumables are stored in the station? And you mentioned some transcripts of the air-to-ground communications. Is it possible that you could release those to us?
We'll see what's available and what's releasable. Actually, you probably should get that from the Russians, since it was over Russian air-to-ground, and they'll probably be willing to talk to you about that. As far as consumables, there was nothing really stored in the Spectre, unless it was chocolate bars or something. But
nothing of importance as far as food. Most of that's in other modules.
Yeah. So we don't think it's an impact to those type of consumables, such as water or food.
Irene Brown with UPI. For Frank, aside from the power loss, is there anything else that raises safety or sort of long-term viability issues?
No, the power really is the major impact to most of the systems we're concerned about. I am concerned about lack of access to our medical kit, and we'll get confirmation as to whether that was in there or not when it was depressurized. And I've already had a brief discussion with the Russians about adding some critical items to the next progress, if possible, when it goes up, to see if there are things that would make the stay on board for the remainder of the time for Mike better, and make sure that we have what we need to support the crew during that time. We'll discuss that over the next few days, since they have delayed the progress.
Are you planning to suspend or alter the training schedules for Wendy and David pending the results of, I guess, a resolution of what the status is on Mir now?
Well, we'll react to whatever we find out over the next few days, but for now we're proceeding with the baseline, and we'll support that and continue with the training and the flight preparation as planned for STS-86 and following. If something else comes to light and we need to modify that, we have the ability to do that.
And my last question is also a timing. How do you see this unfolding, just as far as the calendar goes? Do you have a particular time frame set up for when you would like to, or when you need to make some decision about what you want to do?
Well, I think we're going to have to wait and see how they are able to recover power and what systems will be available, what will be the long-term availability of electrical power. I expect it's going to be at least a couple of days before we'll have a real good handle on that, because it's going to take them a day or two or three maybe to get the gyrodynes fully back up to speed and see how much energy they can generate with the remaining solar arrays. And then will be hearing more from the Russians on their plan to recover and to operate in the future, and we'll evaluate that at that time. So I suspect next week we'll have a much clearer picture of where we go in the long term.
This is Seth Bornstein from the Orlando Sentinel. Frank, first I'm just looking for some quick numbers that we've missed somehow so far. What has the temperature raised to? What percentage rough, I know it'd be really rough, of U.S. science is thought to be on Spectre right now? And how many other medical equipment, emergency medical equipment kits are there besides the one that's probably stuck in Spectre?
Well, the Russians have their own emergency medical kits, and they are all available as far as I know. I believe only U.S. Medical supplies were stored in Spectre. About half the U.S. science probably is in the Spectre. That's a really rough estimate, and we'll get a better feel for that in the next day or two as we evaluate what's there and what's not. So I believe that you know, we'll look at that as time goes by. And, as far as the temperatures, I believe temperatures are still running about the same as they were over the last few days, pretty much in the nominal range. In fact, everything's within nominal range, some a little near the low end, some near the high end, depending on which module you're talking about and whether they're in sunlight or not. The pressure on board is about 690 millimeters of mercury, which, as I said, is about equivalent to around 2,500 feet of altitude. I'm sure somebody will check that number. And so we don't see any indication of environmental problems at this time, though we know they have shut off some of the thermal control system circulation, but they'll be watching the effects of that over the next day or so.
And to follow up from me, if you can first just refresh my memory, you had these updated safety rules before Mike flew. If you look at this situation, I'm sure you consider it a deep press, what did those safety rules say in terms of we will